welcome to this episode of our podcast. We're going to start off a little bit different this time round. So this is Rafaela and we are going to do some formal introductions in a short time. But we decided to start this one off by doing a little bit of a guided tour of the department here. So why don't you let us know where we are? We're in Sunderland Eye Infirmary and we're in the Orthoptic department. So why don't you start us off by telling us about this room, and then we'll move through and then we'll come and have a proper sit down chat after that.
Yeah, certainly. So we are in the Orthoptic office at the moment, and we're very fortunate to have our own private space where we're able to have all of our books, and this is kind of the area where we can do our administrative tasks. But this is an area where there's no patient contact happening here, so it means things can be a little bit more personal. So one of the things that we have is our group photographs that we have every year, where we have Christmas Jumper Day, something that happens throughout the trust. But it started off as a one-off. We had a little group photo and then it kind of snowballed. So back in 2017, we took a photo, everybody together, and then it happened the next year and then the next, and now it's sustainable. And
there we go. So for anybody who isn't watching the little YouTube video about this, it's a nice little run of 6 photographs, all of the group taken at different years with their Christmas Jumper Day on, on Christmas Jumper Day, if I get my words right. So there we go. So where do we go from here?
So from here, we'll go into our breakout room, which is where we have, where we keep all of our, where we're waiting for our patients to arrive, and it's an area where we can come and have clinical discussions as well, still away from patient area as well.
Brilliant. Right, so we're out into the corridor. And we're on the ground floor as well. So make sure, there we go.
So from within our area, we've got our board with our Meet the Team department as well. So
very good, so there's everybody's faces, very good, nice to know who's in charge. There we go. There we go. Now we're into, what's this room here?
So we call this more of a breakout room. So in here, it's kind of where we come in at the beginning of the day, somewhere for us to put all of our things away in the lockers, and also it's kind of like the hub where we're meant to know where is everybody and where we keep our trays for information. So if anybody wants to contact the orthoptist, they know to put any kind of correspondence within our trays. But also we've got our kind of map, which is something that was devised a few years ago now, which is a visual as to where everybody is with our type of clinics. We have peripheral clinics, and we have a very kind of, well, our timetable is very mixed, so you're not going to have one orthoptist always at our main base here at SCI. We have peripheral clinics, and sometimes there'll be one place in the morning and then another place in the afternoon. And if somebody's running in wanting to speak with one of the orthoptists, if they're not very familiar with how our clinics work, they can just say, well, where's this person? Okay, they're working from home, or they're in a different place.
Very helpful. And so we have clinics in Hartlepool, Peterlee, Durham Treatment Centre, Washington, Palmer Hospital in Jarrow, South Shields. Is that the hospital?
Yes.
At South Tyne District Hospital, and there we are at Sunderland Eye Infirmary as well, and everybody's got their own little avatars, which I think are very good. And then you know where people are and whether they've got holiday, whether at home, or whether they're not feeling too well either.
Yeah.
Very good. Oh, and it's training, study leave as well. Very important. Brilliant. Okay, so where do we go? Oh, and also there's lots of like nice little thank you cards on the back of the door. Very nice touch, very nice touch. Right, okay, where do we go from here?
So from here we'll go into our main clinical areas and have a little look at some of the clinical rooms as well.
Great stuff. Right. There we go. Thank you.
So coming through into our main clinical area.
There we go.
So an interesting thing about this main area being, so there's 4 clinical rooms within the orthoptic department, and historically it used to be one big room. So we have had a lot of cross sections of assessments going on. And then over the years it was decided that actually having that privacy, being able to go into your room, close the door, and having these kind of confidential conversations with our patients was essential. So then the rooms got divided into 4 rooms. But as you can imagine, going from 4 rooms to 1, you end up with very narrow, very small rooms.
Yes, they are very narrow rooms. I don't know whether there's somebody in that one, so I won't bother them.
We can. Kezia, do you mind if there's a little bit of videoing just so we can show the narrowness of the room? Is that all right?
There we go. See, this is a very, very narrow, long room. There you go. Yeah, fine. Very long, narrow room. This is very unusual.
Yeah,
so
and whoever gets in this room or the other one, there's no windows. So just with how the nature of the room is. Now coming through to here. Now this has been broken up into 2 rooms, and this is kind of where we have our joint equipment, so equipment that we don't need to have one in each room, but we can have them, so we bring our patients in to assess them. So we've got something that is a piece of equipment that's quite old now, we're updating it to a more digital process as well, whereas this one takes up a lot of space, but it's still very useful. We use it routinely in our clinic.
So what's this called?
So this is the Octopus Goldman.
Oh.
Goldman Fields machine.
Goldman Fields machine. Oh, and what does it do?
This one, it assesses a patient's area of what we call binocular single vision. So binocular single vision being an area where your 2 eyes are still working together at the same time, and you're able to still see and appreciate vision in 3D. So you're able to see your 3D vision, and we measure, well, how big is that area?
Oh, right, okay. And we've got some screens here.
Yeah, and then this one here again, so quite an old piece of equipment but used daily in this department. And this machine it allows us to map out a patient's eye movements. So it's looking at your eye muscles, where if I do this and this, we can see a grid here.
Yeah.
And it's able to, we're able to find out if the patient is having problems with double vision or eye restrictions. Well, in what area of eye movement is that restriction happening? So we're able to use, it's almost like a projection test. The patient faces one area through the mirror, they're projecting the image onto the other screen, and any weaknesses are picked up.
Oh, how clever is that?
So really clever. So we test eye movements in clinic with a pen torch and looking to see, well, is there a limitation here? Is there a restriction there? But on here, it's from a diagrammatical point of view. So the patient plots out with this big long stick, plots out where it is that each point is. We record it on our piece of paper here, and we're able to see, well, where are the restrictions, and it's a visual, and we can compare it to the time before, so we can quickly flip and say, oh look, it's improved here, or it's got a little bit weaker.
So do you mark it down on that chart?
Yes,
right.
We do, yes.
Okay.
Now from these 2 pieces of equipment, things have updated quite nicely, because if we go in my
let's
I'm just going to see if
swizz around
this room, because those 2 pieces of equipment
we're all right.
through the digital age is now
right, so that's a bit different. So that's a huge big telly screen. That's as big as the one as I have at home, I think. That's quite large. So what does this have a different title?
Yeah, so this is called the visual field analyzer. So this one is the digital version of those 2 machines put together. So it's a nice, as you say, from what we're looking at, it's a nice flat screen. In front of it, we've got some an area for the patient to rest their chin with some coloured goggles, one colour in front of each eye, so that we can test each eye at a time. And the patient sits in front of the machine, and we're able to carry out the full assessment as well. So hopefully, as we move into the new build, we're hoping to have one of these in each room.
Right, okay, brilliant. So where do we go from here?
So from here, we'll go into, this is kind of an area where, excuse the mess, an area where we have the kind of, again, shared equipment. This machine is an autoficimeter. You put somebody's glasses on, you press the button, and it tells you what prescription they have for the glasses.
That sounds a lot more easy than going to the opticians, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very handy. So if we want to know, well, what is it that we're working with? So when patients present to us wearing glasses and the vision's down, we'll say, well, what's your baseline prescription? They might not have their prescription from their opticians. We can find out.
Right. So what's that called again?
So this one's called an automated ficimeter. And then this one here, we can come around the corner and we can show you a little bit of how this one works. So now we're in another clinical
We're in a different room, yeah.
So this is called an autorefractor. So an autorefractor, essentially the main role of it is to try and find out what is the underlying prescription of the patient who presents to you. And the beauty of this equipment, and you might be able to see, for those who are able to see on the video, there's a smiley face, there's bright colours on it, we've got lime green around the edge of the camera. It's like a giant handheld camera where the practitioner looks at the screen and the patient sees the smiley face.
Right.
And what it does is it shoots out a harmless infrared signal that bounces back and forth, and it tries to kind of map out the front surface of the eyes, and it measures to see, well, what is the underlying need for glasses? Right. Is there an underlying need for glasses or not?
So is that quite helpful when you've got very young patients?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's, as we know, anything that's automated, anything that does it for you, it's great as a guide. It's not the same as having a professional measuring the child's need for glasses, but it gives you a guide, because if there's a significant problem, this can pick it up and say, hang on a minute, this is indicating a high need for glasses.
Right, okay.
But it's handy with this one because what happens is, as you say, we use it for very young children, and we'll often have babies 3-month-old, and to try and get a baby's attention is almost impossible. But the way this works is you press the button,
oh,
and it makes a funny noise.
Oh, can you do it again?
Yeah, and then again. So it just keeps making a really odd noise. It just kind of, for some reason, that funny noise is just much more interesting than us going, look at me, what's this?
I see.
Because the children are so used to hearing the parents talking in this high-pitched voice and this kind of sing-songy voice, that's been designed to be so different that a child just looks at it because they go, what was that? It's almost like a siren type noise. And then it measures the eyes from, as I say, it's not an invasive assessment. So you can stand, so Fiona and Ram stood about 1 metre away from you, and I'd stand from that distance and I'd press the button, it would make the noise, and then it would try and read the patient's need for glasses.
I didn't know that existed, so there we go. That's fascinating.
Very
Brilliant. So where else do we need to see in the department? Or is that pretty much it?
That's pretty much a whistle-stop tour of the department, and that's kind of the main pieces of equipment that we're using. There's the more handheld, nitty-gritty bits, but from the kind of more the bigger machines, they're the main ones.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for taking us through that.
Yeah,
Brilliant.